meeting to order. Recommend that the closed meeting be closed and the board certify to the best of each member's knowledge only public business matters lawfully exempt from open meeting to which the certification applies, and only such business matters as we are identified in the motion concerning the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered. Certified? Do we have a motion?
So move. Second.
All in favor? Sorry.
We've got individual certified.
Yep. Certified?
Mr. Sturman?
Yes.
Ms. Tanner?
Yes.
Ms. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley? Yes. Ms. Garner?
Yes.
Ms. Wagstaff?
Yes.
And Mr. Evans?
Yes.
At this time, we pledge allegiance to the flag in a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Acker?
Good evening, board members, Mr. Chairman, and Dr. Thornton, excuse me. It's my honor this evening to present our wonderful, exciting first day of school. We have a video for you, and I believe if Mr. Reed's ready, we are ready to begin.
When the spring light falls into winter night, hold on, our summer isn't gone. And to think I lied when I said goodbye, it's true. I'm holding on to you like a star in the sky, floating up so high. I'm gonna fall for you. Catch me when I do. Not a day drifts by without an evening sigh from me. I close my eyes to see when the fireflies light up the darkest night. I'll come and wake you with the sun, like a star in the sky, floated up so high. I'm gonna fall for you. Catch me when I do, like a star in the sky, floating up so high. I'm gonna fall for you. Catch me when I do. When the spring light falls into winter night, hold on, our summer isn't gone. And to think I lied when I said goodbye, it's true. I'm holding on to you like a star in the sky, floating up so high. I'm day drifts by without an evening sigh from me. I close my eyes to see when the fireflies light up the darkest night. I'll come and wake you with the sun, like a star in the sky, floated up so high. I'm gonna fall for you. Catch me when I do, like a star in the sky, floating up so high. I'm gonna fall for you. Catch me when I do. When the spring light falls into winter night, hold on, our summer isn't gone. And to think I lied when I said goodbye, it's true.
I think you can see that we got off to a great start today, lots of smiling faces, and we hope that it'll stay that way all year long. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alger. Next on the agenda is Dr. Thornton.
Okay, first item is the teach document and the instructional team.
Good evening, school board members, chairman, and Dr. Thornton. We want to thank you for allowing us to share with you a presentation that we, as an instructional team, went and presented to every school in the county last week. And the focus is fostering a culture of excellence, which is based off the book, A Culture of Excellence by Ron Berger, and we're trying to build that culture of excellence in every one of our schools. That the animoto we just watched really, really helped us to see why we're all here, and that is the children. So every time we get together with our teachers, our faculty meetings, whatever we're doing, our focus is on how well are the children, because that is exactly why we're here. And those videos really kind of pointed that out. That is our purpose. Our mission statement, which is on the next slide, was thought about long and hard to try to come together with the right words of what we want our mission for our students. And so you can see it's those 21st century learning skills to communicate, to collaborate, to critically think, and to have citizens or students that are engaged. They're not sitting in rows waiting passively for teachers to tell them what they're to think and do. They're actively engaged. We want to prepare them to be contributing citizens and prosperous. So that mission statement is what we're all focused on in our schools, and we look forward to building on that this year.
This slide is one that we're very proud of. The instructional team and principals worked very hard to frame this correctly, because this vision statement is attainable. It's attainable for every child in Mecklenburg County K through 12 that enters our buildings. And when we foster a culture of excellence, what we do is we provide an entry level for every student to produce beautiful work where that differentiated instruction comes into play. And so beautiful work for Sandra may look entirely different than beautiful work for Joan, because of that differentiated piece of instruction that we are providing all of our kids. And when we craft beautiful work, we go through a process of critiques and drafting, and we go through a process to constantly refine our work. And through this refinement, there's a process that our children engage in to not only produce quality work, but also to take learning deeper, which is our ultimate goal for our kids, to be wonderful owners of deeper learning. So we're very proud of our vision statement for the 2013 school year.
I want to tell you a little bit about the instructional team and what we'll be doing this year. We have a team of educators who are here to serve teachers around instruction this year. What does this look like? Well, each of us will serve at 2 schools on a routine basis. We'll be leading professional development, planning with teachers, co-teaching lessons with teachers, reflecting with them about their instruction, about their lessons, and assisting them in any way that we can around instruction. For the first few weeks of school, or the first 6 weeks of school, we have laid out a schedule. This week, the first week of school, we'll be in every building every day, serving, working with teachers, helping out where we can. Next week, we're going to be going to several schools in the county together as a team. There, we will be visiting classrooms, using the Teach document, reflecting together after we visited classrooms, norming ourselves with that document so that we are all gaining that same perspective, that consensus as we use that document around instruction. And then after that, we will be working at our assigned schools together initially, 2 team members at a school, again, to work together to determine the needs of that building, how we can best serve in that building. And then we also have built in flexibility here. We want teachers to guide us and let us know more how we can help them. We want to hear that teacher voice and what their needs are. So even though we're starting out with a routine of serving every school, but we're also building in that flexibility so that if there's a particular event going on in a school at a certain time, we can work there as a team and pull together to assist with that. Instructional rounds will be a part of our work, and that is a system that enables teachers to get reflection on their practice. We will be visiting in teachers' classrooms, observing lessons, and then talking with that teacher about their instruction, using the Teach document as that common language. So the Teach document will be the rubric or the instrument that we use to talk with instruction about teachers. We will be norming ourselves through observations as a team and with groups of educators, with the principals, and with teachers observing other teachers. We will be working together to come to consensus about the document, what those words really look like in practice, so that we speak the same language as we meet and reflect. This gives teachers an opportunity to receive genuine feedback and an opportunity to reflect with other professionals about the instruction they're delivering as they move forward into deeper learning.
In Tony Wagner's book, The Global Achievement Gap, he states how we're teaching our students to be critical thinkers and problem solvers. We're not teaching them to be critical thinkers and problem solvers. We're teaching them how to memorize facts for a multiple choice test. Memorization is not preparing our students for the future. I want you to think about these 4 things. In the past, the United States led the world in education. Unfortunately, today, we are falling behind. Number 2, students are graduating without the capability to compete with other students from China and India for the most sought-out careers in the world. And number 3, 2/3 of our rising elementary students will one day hold jobs that have yet been created. And number 4, business leaders are searching for young leaders who can solve problems, who are creative, and who can communicate effectively. With deeper learning, we can equip our students with the skills that will help them be successful, and this refers back to our mission statement. We are preparing our students for the county, the Commonwealth, the nation, and the world.
Deeper learning will prepare our students to know and master core academic content, to think critically and solve complex problems, We have been so SOL driven in the past that they don't have that opportunity. So we want them to be able to do this again. Work collaboratively, get with partners, and work in groups to solve problems. Communicate effectively, be able to make their own decisions and speak for themselves, and be self-directed and able to incorporate feedback. We want them to be able to take advice, kind, specific, and helpful advice, and make changes.
Good evening. What you just heard about deeper learning, I have to say that in the schools that I've visited with today, as far as the collaboration, stepping aside from SOL-driven teaching, that in that being relayed to the students, I've already seen the excitement in the eyes of teachers and the students in bringing this passion back to our school system. And I think that is a great thing. Seeing that firsthand certainly added to the energy, that kicked off a great school year. So what is deeper learning? Well, here's a quote by Dr. Julian Hermida, and it says, "Deep learning promotes understanding and application for life." Deep learners reflect on the personal significance of what they are learning. They are autonomous. They virtually teach themselves, but they are also collaborative learners with high metacognitive and learning skills.
Good evening. Now we're using the term deeper learning a lot more, and you're hearing a lot more about that, and not just the project-based learning. Project-based learning is just one vehicle, one way to teach students. What we're trying to get at is to get students to be good thinkers. I don't know if you had a chance, but last Sunday, Parade Magazine had an incredible article, and I just want to read one quote from there, and it says that students don't know how to deal well with confrontation, bounce back from defeat, see two different sides of a problem, and that's what we want our students to be able to do. I really highly recommend that you read this. This is where we're going with deeper learning, and this is what we want our students to have.
The next thing is division norms or non-negotiables that we want to focus on this year with our schools and our children. The first thing is how well are the children, starting out all meetings with how well are the children, whether it be a school board meeting or a central office meeting or faculty meetings or professional development. We want teachers to start building relationships, better relationships with students, students' relationships with each other, teachers' relationships with each other, and administration relationships with teachers, focusing on good, solid relationships. The next division norm is morning meetings. All schools are going to have morning meetings with students. They're doing it different at each school, but it would be a time when the teacher has a planned activity or something they're focusing on to talk with about their students. And it can be instructional, or it can be, they might talk about how their weekend was, but communicating within a group with each other. Reflections, we want teachers to reflect on their teaching. We want students to reflect on what they're doing in the classroom every day. We're also encouraging peer observations for students, for teachers to get out and to observe each other, give each other good feedback about what they're seeing. We are integrating in all schools the TEACH document, which is the rubric for the teachers to use to make their lessons more meaningful and have deeper learning behind them. In all schools, they're going to be professional morning learning times. The elementary level has 30 minutes before the students come in the classroom to have professional meetings in the morning. And we'll be focusing on the TEACH document and strategies to promote deeper learning. The high school and middle school has anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour every morning to do the same, Monday through Friday. And along with what Ms. Boswell said, instructional rounds, we will be working with teachers, and the administrators will be working with teachers to provide them with feedback. And these are things that we feel as a division are important to focus on this year to go for the vision that we have been working on.
You've heard about the TEACH document, so now let's take a look at it. Critical thinking and problem solving is a division competency that all students will be provided intense instruction in. And we feel very passionately about critical thinking and problem solving because this leads the way to deeper learning. And as we transform instruction for our students, we also know that these 21st century skills that the other 3 pages of the TEACH document includes is going to produce not only strong graduates to go into our workforce, but also prepare our students for college and entrance into the global economy. What I'd like for you to know is that as the document moves from left to right, you will see that the big blocks that represent the teacher become less. And the student learning as we move across each level becomes more. And this was purposely done to reflect deeper learning as the teachers release that responsibility and as the students become more responsible and make choices for their learning. We are going to use this instrument and use this rubric in our classrooms as we go in and we support teachers to think reflectively on their practices for students and to think on their instructional deliveries for themselves.
To finish our little presentation, we have a little assignment for you all. It's called an exit slip, and it is let us know if you have any wonderings about what we talked about tonight with teacher learning and project-based learning, and we will be glad to take your questions and give you some feedback at a later time. If you could just leave them for us after the meeting, and we will get them back from you. Because we do want to know what questions you still have or wonderings you have about what we presented tonight. And thank you for listening.
Next is how well for the children.
Dr. Thornton, if I may, there were 2, I guess, coordinators that came up that I guess we haven't had an opportunity to have a formal introduction. I think they're going to be.
Jason Winter, formerly a Parkview Middle School teacher who was added to our team as an instructional coach, and Jason's going to be at Parkview Middle and Parkview High School. And this is Beverly Jones. She's also an instructional coach, and she's going to be at Chase City and Clarksville Elementary.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. You heard several of our instructional staff tonight refer to the saying, "How well are the children?" Hopefully you've noticed the 2 new banners that were just hung just a few minutes ago and are being hung in all of our buildings in the county. We had the pleasure this summer to have a teacher, a new teacher, come to us and share with us a special story that we're going to have a very special student read to you in just a moment. That we as an instruction team early in the summer met and talked with Dr. Thornton about, and we looked at it and we thought it just eloquently captured what we're here to do and what our focus needs to be. So you've seen tonight our big picture vision, you've seen our mission, you've seen the tool through which we're going to work to support teachers and students in learning at a deeper level. You've seen the team that's going to go out into our schools and support that. But we're going to even narrow the focus a little bit more to ensure that through all of this work that you've seen a little bit of introduction to how we're going to structure, that we keep the main thing, and that we always focus on our students first. So we have a very, very distinct honor to have a student with us. He's officially a 7th grader today. He's a 7th grader at Parkview Middle School, and he read this story of how well are the children during our convocation. Some of you were there and got to hear what a beautiful job he did. But so it is my pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Jaden Turner, who's going to share with you this special story that we're going to use to guide and focus our efforts this school year.
Good evening. Among the most accomplished and fabled tribes of Africa, no tribe is considered to have warriors more fearsome or more intelligent than the mighty Maasai. It is perhaps surprising then to learn the traditional greeting that passes between Maasai warriors. Kansarian and Garia, one always says to another. It means, "How are the children?" This traditional greeting among the Maasai acknowledges the high value that the Maasai always place on their children's well-being. Even warriors with no children of their own always give the traditional answer. All the children are well, meaning, of course, that peace and safety prevail. That the priorities of protecting the young, the powerless, are in place. That Maasai society has not forgotten its reason for being, its proper functions and responsibilities. All the children are well means that life is good, means that the daily struggles of existence do not preclude proper caring for their young. I wonder how it might affect our consciousness of our own children's welfare if, in our culture, we took to greeting each other with this daily question, "And how are the children?" I wonder if we heard that question and passed it along to each other a dozen times a day, would it begin to make a difference in the reality of how children are thought of and cared for in our own country? I wonder if every adult among us, parent and non-parent alike, felt an equal weight for the daily care and protection of all the young in our community, in our town, in our state, in our country. Could we truly say without hesitation, the children are well? Yes, all the children are well? What would it be like if religious leaders began every worship by answering the question, "And how are the children?" If teachers began every class by answering the question, "And how are the children?" If every town leader had to answer the same question at the beginning of every meeting, "And how are the children?" If every business leader and corporate executive had to answer the same question at the beginning of every workday, "And how are the children? Are they well?" Wouldn't it be interesting to hear their answers? What would it be like? I wonder. I wonder. And how are the children? Working together, may all our children be well.
Thank you, Jaden. That was spectacular. Jaden also did that, like Dr. Agnew said, in front of 800 employees on a stage. And you can see it on our YouTube, on our website, because we posted it there. And it's amazing what he did with just ease and poise. And looking at you, our children are well, Jaden. The next report is the new elementary additions and update. It was in your packet. We did a walkthrough, myself, Wade Wilson, Ronnie Smith, and Alan Burchett. He's the architect overseeing the project. Do you have any of those pictures? You don't have this picture. Okay. They're in your board packet. And you see Clarksville Elementary School. The timeline on the wall of all the trails when we visited. Clarksville Elementary School is scheduled to be finished first around Thanksgiving time. And then actually La Crosse, which was behind, is scheduled to finish next. And Chase City will finish last. They're all going to finish. They're still on schedule. They're about 2 weeks behind, but they're scheduled to finish before December break. So hopefully we can move into them over December break. And all the information is in your board packet. And I'm going to do this once a month, but I'll probably send you bi-weekly too, because now they're sending more and more pictures and updates for us. Any questions on where we are? And we'll start posting these pictures to the website as well. Back to the agenda. What's next? Civil Rights Action Report. Mr. Mullins.
Instead of saying good evening, I think I will say, how well are the children? In front of every board member, I placed an OCR finding and 2 VCP projects, one for Parkview and one for Bluestone. I'll get into that in just a little bit. I'm not going to go into full detail with it. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about how this came about. In 2011, we received a phone call from OCR, that's Office of Civil Rights, and they requested a meeting with administration here, and you don't say no to OCR. So we welcomed them here and had our meeting with them. And during that meeting, they proceeded to tell us that the real reason behind the meeting, there was a parent who had complained and filed a report on the school system. So they wanted to do a walkthrough of our high schools, Bluestone and Parkview, to see if there were any findings to the report. So we had to allow them to do that walkthrough, and we gladly did. We spent several days walking through with them, and then after they left, several months compiling data for them and answering their questions. So in front of you, you have a very clean version, but it started out in giant binders, hundreds and hundreds of documents. But what you have in front of you are the findings from the Civil Rights Review. And how you look at this document, again, I'm not going to read every one of them, but how you look at the document, if you flip over to page 3, it starts with Bluestone High School. If you look on the compliance project, there is a number associated with the findings from OCR to a number with the project and a cost associated with that finding. And what they're asking us to do is to try our best to fix the problems that they found. Now, we've been able to fix the small things here and there, and every time we fix, I have to adjust this report and send this report in. It's taken us almost 2 years to get to this part. There's still a good 3 years left of this report, and a lot that we have to do. But if you notice, at the end of the Bluestone and Parkview, there is a number in red, and that is a very large number. Now, what I've been doing is trying to negotiate with OCR on different ways to get that price down. Wade has done an incredible job on working with contractors to get prices in for us. So right now, that's the number that we've come down to. It actually was a little bit higher than this, and we're going to continue to work on that. I've also been trying to figure out ways to go after grants and some other programs to help us pay for this. During one of the phone calls with OCR, I thought I was doing the right thing by asking them if they are aware of a grant or a program that I can listen in on and be a part of. And they pretty much said, since you receive federal dollars from the past and receive future federal dollars, we don't care how you pay for it, just get it done, because we can remove those federal dollars and we can also make you pay back those federal dollars. that you've gotten from the past. So I thought I was doing the right thing by asking for a grant or a program. They seem to care less about that. They just want everything fixed. So with that being said, we've left the action open for discussion, as well as so you know that this is a continued process. And if need be, I have no problem taking this report from OCR and stepping in front of our county board as well and letting them see what OCR's findings are and what they are asking us to do. Okay. Yes, sir.
First of all, we're walking a tight line. How are we going about talking to these contractors? We're talking about prices from $140,000 to $250,000, and I'm president of Lake Country Home Builders Association, and we're already getting complaints that there's one contractor in particular that's going to probably do a lot of this work. That probably ain't going to happen. As hard as work is to get in this county in Southside Virginia, if we're going to do any of this, we better put it out for bids, or we better let some people know. No contractors in this county know anything about this except one, and somebody slipped up and told me who he was, and that's the one everybody's complaining about. So I just want to, we better be careful.
Well, I believe in competition. That'll bring the price down.
Well, at some of these prices, I would think we need to look at some competition, because I just think a lot of these are escalated, and I only do this for a living. But there are concerned contractors, and I just don't want to get us in a bind.
Agreed.
I'm not one of them. I can't enter into any of the contracts, but I can listen when people complain.
If it says contracted vendor, has that person already been contracted to do the work?
No.
Okay.
No.
What has been given out? Can we get a list of what's been done and by what contractor?
Only thing that's been done is from our local maintenance. I'm not aware of any money that's been spent so far.
Okay.
This is the first time this money's come forward. We've been trying to figure out a way to just pay for it.
Right.
So we haven't put any of this out for bid. This is just, you're giving us prices. This is what it potentially could cost.
Right.
These are the things that have to be done. And then we have to decide, are we going to go forward and do them?
Correct.
And if we are, where we're going to get the money from, and then we would put it out for bid.
Right.
Is that the way?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I'm just the messenger, so don't throw things at me.
I'm just trying to understand.
That's right.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make sure I understand, because the way I understood it from you was you were just compiling a list of what we need to take care of.
That's it. And letting the state know where we are at with each one. And as long as we are making an effort to fix these, they're happy. As soon as we slip up on that, though,
So if it's maintenance beside it, that means our maintenance department can do the job.
correct.
How do we compare with other schools in our district as far as the civil rights review? Are they to do the same things that we do, or just because somebody reported us, we have to take care of ours and everybody else in the district slides, right?
It happened because of the complaint against us.
Well, has anybody asked that question? And let's get all the schools fixed in this district.
No, and I'm happy to bring OCR in front of you, and you ask them that
I would
question
like
too.
for you to do that.
Excellent.
I'll be glad to ask that. I mean,
They'll be glad to come in.
How well are the children in the other schools? If we're going to do it in this school, then OCR should go in every school, and let's do it across the board in the state. And I imagine you probably see a backlash on some of these things that are almost impossible to do in a grandfathered school. You know what I'm saying? Thanks.
Yep, you can stay up there, Mr. Mullin.
Okay, thank you.
Next item is drug testing.
The board requested that administration look into drug testing of our students in our athletic programs, costs associated with it, the details of it. Not being a part of a program like that before, we had to really do a lot of talking with other districts. And a lot of the school systems around us really helped us understand the program. They helped us with pitfalls of the program and what to do to correct those up front. In your board docs, there is a picture of what we call an iCup. A lot of schools started out that way. The donor would put the sample in the cup, bring the sample back to a personnel person, and then we would get an immediate reading from the sample. And if we get a bounce back positive, you send that positive sample to a lab, and then they send it back with a report. That's one way of doing it. But after talking with a lot of school systems that have already done this program, they said there's a much better way to do it. It's been around for a while, but school systems just started doing it, and it's called saliva testing. And the reason it's well received is because the person, the donor, does not have to leave the room in order to give the sample. And you can do multiples at one time giving the sample. They do that by placing the stick in their mouth, getting saliva on it, then locking it down into the case, and then that case gives an immediate report bounce back of positive or not positive right in front of us. We talked with 3 different entities, our local hospitals, to partner with them. We looked at buying products online to do this, and we also looked at partnering with an agent. I'll explain the agent piece in a minute because that came from a school system recommendation. The hospitals do offer they will come to our campus and actually do the testing for us. It's very expensive. It works out to be about $45 to $55 a test per student. And then there are annual fees that go along with that for the reporting and the lab testing. Then we looked at just buying the supplies online and doing it ourselves. Talked to a few school systems that did that, and then come to find out they were missing a crucial piece to doing it by themselves, and that was called certification of the people doing it. So, in talking with the school system, they recommended going with an agent that will actually provide all of the equipment to do it and certification to our athletic directors, our nurses, and our administrators, whoever's going to be administering the test. Once the test is given, you have a certified person behind that test. If we get a bounce back positive, we send that to a lab, and once again, we get our report back. But if anyone questions, we have certified people doing the test. So that's, if you go with an agent, not only do they come in and help you with your policies to make sure your policies are in place, they train and certify the employees on how to do this, and they supply all of the items for the testing, as well as the backing to if something bounces back positive. So there's 3 options on the table, but a lot of the schools are recommending to go with an agent type corporation. Any questions on drug testing?
If we go with the agency, that's about double what it would be if we purchased online.
Correct.
But we would have the certification to back up everything.
Correct. Also going with an agency too, it allows them to select the students for us. They recommend about a 25% test a year of the athletes or the number of students. That's about 45 students a month. So the testing would be randomly selected by them instead of us. So no one can come back and say we are selecting only certain students. We are protected in that as well.
I like that.
Are we talking about drug testing everybody in the school system or just the athletes?
Well, the request was athletes.
Right.
And someone added the extracurricular, including band and organizations like that as well.
Okay. And the actual numbers we used in getting pricing, we included band just to make the numbers a little bit better out there. But it comes down to $12.25 a test.
What's the punishment after the fact? I think we said we wasn't going to do anything with them anyway, so isn't that right? I mean, we're really not going to punish anybody. If
I don't think
No,
any policy has
be
been
off the
set or
table.
anything yet for that.
They'd be off out of sports for a period of time. And that each subsequent offense was a larger outcome. And the schools that we checked into, they did not involve the sheriff's department as far as it becomes criminal. They test
Right.
positive and it's handled.
Yeah, I won't give the name of the school, but I love the story that they told me. When they first put this program in place, they had such a positive reaction, positive not meaning good, to the testing, that they decided to pull everyone in, have discussion. They didn't bring law enforcement in. They did it all in-house, educated the parents on it, and then come to find out after that initial test, their program, sports program, became better. And their test bounce back for positives went to 0. And they didn't bring anyone in to reprimand them. They just told them, we're giving you another chance. But think about what this can do for you in the future.
Mr. Mullins, what are we paying currently with the bus drivers?
Right at 52.
Right. We talked about that as well, and if we went with an agency and we get charged at $12.25 per test, and maybe we should use that same agency to do all of our bus drivers, the random tests, and actually save money. We can probably pay for both programs with the same money we've been paying for bus drivers for years, and actually probably save money, actually.
Correct. And the only difference in the bus testing for DOT, we have to do a testing for alcohol, and that's 10% of your bus drivers per year, and that was right around $12 a test in itself.
Right. Still less than half the price.
Yes, sir.
Right. So as we move forward, I'd like to recommend that we hire an agency and that they help us set the policy and bring that policy to you, and you guys can tweak it before we bring it forward and start implementing it.
More questions?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Next thing on the agenda is Ms. Acker, policy update.
The Mecklenburg County Public Schools Policy Manual references throughout specific names of individuals within the school division to contact with regard to such matters as harassment, abuse. And in order to make updates and changes with the policy manual less cumbersome, we are requesting that we change all of the names to a specific title throughout the policy manual, so that as people come and go, we don't have to constantly go through the policy manual to make sure that we are updating every name. So we'd just like to request, if we're only taking out names and putting in titles only, just for your consideration at this meeting and action at the next. Any questions? Thank you.
Dr. Thornton.
I think the last item is field trip, the Bluestone High School band. Mr. Augert, are you presenting the trip? No. Okay. Yeah, why don't we do that? Yes, sir. Well, when you came in, If it happened with the vote, if any of y'all would like to go, we need some chaperones. Any questions about the trip?
Is this, and I'm all for the trip, I always have been, is this any way going to affect, like SOL testing or at that time, or any of
No,
these
but
tests?
Ms. Summerville, I think I saw her out here. We talked about that when we did the thing, and we made sure this time did not interfere at all. Is that right, Ms. Summerville? Yeah, we looked at that, Mr. Edwards, to make sure.
Will everybody get to go?
Everybody that can afford to go. I didn't answer your question. Not everybody will not go, because we can't finance it from the bank. We don't have the money to do it, unless the board wants to give us the money.
How much you need?
700 times.
I'm going to take some of this construction project for OCS.
At $40,000, I can take y'all with me.
Hey, we don't have that either, so I'm going to promise you.
Give me $40,000, I'll take the whole board with me.
I don't want to go. It's already happening in Rico.
Any other questions about it?
Okay, that was easy.
Thank you.
Mr. Acker, do we have any public input? Okay. Okay. Next on the agenda is the minutes of the previous regular meeting. That come up after that.
The finance committee that was on the agenda, we are tabling that until
yeah.
Mr. Pierre returns, because he has recommendations for the finance committee. So we're going to table it until next month.
Can we have a motion for the previous minutes?
So moved.
A second? All in favor? Okay. And minutes of the August 1st, can we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All in favor?
Abstain.
Okay. Can we have a motion to approve the personnel recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Motion for student matters? All in favor? Motion to pay the bills?
I have reviewed the bills and I only have a question on the technology. Bill for $11,655 for Dyson Solution. What is that? Technology.
The 11,655, there's two of them?
$23,000.
Yes,
And then the
for
next
DISS.
11,000.
Those are, in technology, you can correct me if I'm wrong, those are the access points, 40 access points?
Technology page 2.
That is access points. We're adding additional mobile devices to the schools with Chromebooks. So there's some dead spots throughout the school. So those are access points that went to across all the schools and put on dead zones. It was 40 access points.
Okay, and I did notice that earlier and asked Ms. Bacon and why there was two payments, and she said they were delivered, there were two shipments.
Two different shipments.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, we should move it, maybe. Should move it first.
Before we move, any questions?
Have a motion to
Bills be paid.
pay. All in favor?
Question?
Who's got a question?
Is there some reason we're still paying an electric bill at Buckhorn? If we're going to give this thing back to the county, we'll give it all back to them. $531.64.
Yeah, they should have possession of it. That could be the last payment.
Ma'am? Once. Yeah, we turned it over last month, month before last, actually.
I will research that, Mr. Evans, and make sure the time period was.
And the only other one I had is last month I noticed we didn't pay the energy company Synergenic last month, and then we're paying them twice this month. Is that because we didn't have any money last month? And we're paying them out of this budget year?
Yes, sir, and it was not because we didn't have any money. We did not receive the bill. We paid 13 in 2013. There was 13 payments.
And we paid one too many in 2000.
So why are we paying two more?
I actually asked Angela that question this afternoon as well. She said the payment came in and that it would go past the due date if we waited for the next meeting. She said she could pay it now, or she would pay it in the utilities that they pay. We pay twice a month.
We're paying one for July 1st, and then we're paying one for August 1st.
We should be paying for August and September in these bills.
All right,
Right, it's August and September.
I'll look at that one also, but we are a month ahead.
Can we get a month behind? Can we get a month behind? It works better for Mecklenburg County. Then we can send everybody on the band trip with their money. What do you think? All right, that's all I have.
All in favor of paying the bills?
Abstain.
Have
No.
two. Next on the agenda is revision of the local plan for the education of the gifted. Who's on that?
So moved.
All in favor? And the next thing is suspend policy 1-5.4 for the Bluestone High School overnight trip to the Bahamas on April the 9th through the 14th.
So moved.
All in favor? Just a second. All in favor? And the next thing is to approve the trip to the Bahamas for Bluestone High School on the April the 9th through the 14th. All in favor?
So moved. So moved.
Second.
Oh, okay. And that's the end of the meeting. At this time, are there any board members?
Yeah, did you?
Oh, well, fast?
Yeah, so moved and second.
Yeah. All in favor again? All in favor? Got it, Ms. Alker? You got it? Okay. No.
Board member remarks.
At this time, board members' remarks, we'll start over. You're on, Devon.
I'd just like to say that I'm pleased to be sitting up here, and that first day of school went really well. Thank you.
Yes.
I'd like to thank Jaden for coming. I was lucky enough to be able to come to convocation, and it was very exciting. And it's so important that we as a community and a state and nation do prioritize education, and I guess that it makes it all worthwhile if you really realize what we are working for, our future, the future of America, basically. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Welcome back, teachers and students.
Yes.
Ditto, welcome back, and I hope all of you have a very successful year, and we're behind you 100%. Good luck.
And before I go to with anyone else, I got to make an announcement that we are pleased to announce the Board of Supervisors has developed an educational committee to work with the school board. Ms. Claudia Lundy will be the chair. Mr. Spain is going to be the board member, David Blankley. And the school board education committee consists of Sandra Tanner, myself, and Glenn Evers, and Ms. Tanner will be the chair. And at this time, Mr. Evers, you have any comment?
I want to go last, if you don't mind. I need to settle down, let you go around and go back to me.
Ms. Hawkins?
I just want to say I'm honored to be here. Thank y'all for this opportunity, and I'm excited for the meetings to come, and I think it's going to be a great year.
Mr. Sturtevant?
I'm happy that the school year started again. I do have some questions. I found it nice that you all have given us an exit slip so we can ask you the questions in private. Sometimes I like to talk about it in public. The concerns that I have. Deeper learning PBL, I don't know the difference. I'm not a professional. My only concern is if you go from PBL and you go from teach, and possibly the following year we go to another program, where's the consistency? We've changed the name, but is it really the same thing? If not, will we see the results in our test scores? So if we go up down a trend every year, we're doing something else. We're going to be graded by the test, the results. So are we predicting to see an upward climb? Our schools are doing better? Or are we going to see a decline because we're transitioning from one thing to the other? I work for the public. I do not work for Dr. Thornton. I'm an elected official, not hired. Someone had asked me about Dr. Thornton with his degree. It was said he doesn't have a doctorate degree. And what I did, I asked Dr. Thornton, and Dr. Thornton and I talked about it, and in fact he does have a doctorate degree. And it is posted on the DOE site. The problem was the delay in getting it posted. So when people ask me a question, I'm going to ask, and I'm going to try to get an answer and present it to the public. I think that's the only way of doing business. Another question that's come up, well, and everyone's heard it, we need to have a new superintendent. It's been on all the blogs. But our superintendent is under contract. So when you look at a contract, there are consequences for breaking a contract early. But the pulse is they want to move in a different direction. So what I'll ask the chair, Mr. Bullock, you're the acting chair, if next month we can have something as far as a contract, we can talk about that as well. And then as a board, we can balance it out to see whether or not it's cost effective. If a question comes up, most board members will address it. I know I will. Our job is to support all the departments. I'm behind the school 100%. I saw the thing from, Consolidated High School 2017. I hope we can get our Consolidated High School. I'm pleased that the Board of Supervisors has a committee that's formed. I'm happy that we have a committee that's formed. I hope. So when you ask the question, how well are the children? The reality is our children aren't doing well. A lot of them aren't. Because we have a lot of broken families in the community. A lot of our kids don't have access to technology. There are homes still in Mecklenburg County where kids don't have running water. So to ask that question, how well are our kids, our children, they need a lot of help. So when I first heard how well are the children, my reply was how well are the teachers, seeing that the teachers spend the majority of their time teaching our kids. So yeah, we're concerned about how well our children are. We have to make sure our teachers are taken care of as well, because they're the caretakers of our children. And I'm hoping I didn't miss anything here, but I do have concerns. It's nothing new. I've said it before. My reservations on the implementation of PBL on such a grand scale. I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to look at the experts, Ms. Hackney, with PBL and teach and deeper learning, and I'm going to wait and see what the results are. If the results are in a negative way, I'm going to ask the question, is this really working? Because if we're concerned about our children, different applications and techniques, and we have to figure out what works. We have to look at the school systems that are ranked #1 in Virginia, and Virginia does pretty well on a nation, nationally ranked. Maybe we could look at those schools, the top 10, 15 schools in Virginia, see what they're doing. Maybe we can take a trip to their schools in Virginia and try to implement their plans. I know we had an opportunity to send people to California to look at PBL, but if Virginia is ranked high, and maybe a state like Maryland, maybe we can look and see what they're doing and implement it here. Because everyone has to agree we want our kids to succeed. That's all I have. Thanks.
Ms. Garner.
I just want to welcome everybody back and hope you have a good year. I'd like to welcome our 2 students to the board and hope you have a successful year this year. As far as PBL, I've always been behind PBL. I was hoping that would go slower. I was a little concerned about some of the scores that we saw on SOLs. Everybody says don't worry about SOLs, but the state of Virginia requires that our students pass SOLs. If our schools don't do well, then the state comes in and takes over. So I hope we see an improvement in SOLs with the expansion of PBL.
Ms. Hannah.
Wow. We have a board member that is asked to look at Dr. Thornton's contract, and I can only assume that he's asking to look at it to buy it out. As a board member who was here when Dr. Thornton was hired, I can pretty much tell you what it's going to cost. I don't have to look into it. It's going to cost over $375,000 plus benefits. Could cost more due to the fact that in some ways his contract has been violated if he chose to fight it. But I don't really want to talk about that right now. My husband and I compiled this list a while back. I've had it on my computer and have it at every meeting so that if something like this were to come up, I would be able to share things. So bear with me. Based on parent concerns and complaints and ideas, this board as a whole instructed Dr. Thornton to put more emphasis on academics over sports, as there had been more emphasis and celebrations on sports achievements and not much on academics. This was when he first got here. Dr. Thornton and his team's response was they put the Student of the Month banquet and the scholarships in place, and he pays for one of those scholarships. I pay for them too. Honoring the staff at the school board meetings. He has put honoring the students at the school board meetings and bringing those things. Those were not here prior to him being here. The All A's Award with the ceremony and the academic jackets. The associate's degree program. Yes, we had it before he came here, but it has improved, it's increased, and it's opened up so that everyone in the 9th grade can test to see if they can get in. That wasn't in place before he got here. Dual enrollment for 11th and 12th graders. 32% of all of our students are enrolled in dual enrollment classes right now. He added the student liaisons to the board. He opened up testing for dual enrollment so that all 9th graders could test and participate if eligible. He meets with students in our schools to hear their concerns and to get their input and to hear what it is they want for their education. The board instructed Dr. Thornton to find ways to take the emphasis off of teaching the SOL, to address the on-time graduation rate, to increase advanced studies diploma, and to increase CTE certification. Dr. Thornton's response and his team was he added intramural sports for the elementary schools. He added swimming for the 2nd grade students at La Crosse and South Hill. The 21st Century After School Program at Parkview Middle School. He's implementing PBL, and that's a program that we unanimously supported in Richmond at our board retreat on January 31st, 2012. He brought Heroes and New Beginnings to assist with the on-time graduation rate, and this was at no charge to this county. It was a charge to him, however. He hired the CTE director so that we can start moving in that direction. More planning and professional development for teachers, which when I went to meet Teacher Day, I had teachers tell me how excited they were. They were looking forward to it, that they needed that extra planning. They needed all of this. That did change the school hours, and this may have inconvenienced some parents, and some parents were upset about it, but it's the right thing to do for the students in the best interest of education. Through all of that, Dr. Thornton also heard about band and also heard about the parents being inconvenienced and not being able to drop their children off on time. So he worked out a plan so that band is there all year long. He worked out a plan so that children are dropped off at 7:45. The results for the federal on-time graduation rate is 83% is the state average, 82 Virginia, and 87.9% is our on-time. The advanced diploma has steadily increased to 43.52%. The total CTE credentials earned is up from 191 in 2010 to 365 in 2012. The board instructed Dr. Thornton to make the finances transparent and develop a realistic budget for Mecklenburg County Public Schools, because before he was here, and from the time that I've been on this board, we have cut positions. He made our budget and our monthly bill process transparent. All of our information is online for everyone to see. He developed a long-term budget process, and this year, for the first time since I've been on the board, we did not have to cut positions. Yes, we had to move people around, but we did not have to cut positions. He did outsource the custodial staff to save money and to save teaching positions. He closed Buckhorn. He hired the energy management company to teach and develop a culture and behaviors of how to save energy and energy costs. It may not seem like we're saving a lot, but right now we're developing the culture. And if you look at it like those of us that have issues with weight, we pay Weight Watchers or we pay a dietitian to help us to learn how to change that lifestyle. And that's what this energy management company has done. And they have saved us money. It might not be the hundreds of thousands yet, but once we get this culture going and this lifestyle change, there will be savings. And also, once this company is gone and we continue that lifestyle change, because you don't pay the dietitian forever or Weight Watchers forever, and we'll have those savings. And yes, but our bills also didn't go up as much, or we weren't paying more for the bills when they went up. Did all of these cuts and changes make everybody happy? No. Did everybody agree with them? No. But these are cuts that had to be made for the benefits of the children, to take the least amount of things out of the classroom. The board instructed Dr. Thornton to provide equity in schools, not just for facilities, but for instruction, grading, and accountability for teachers, administration, and staff. He worked for the equity in the schools by adding the gyms and planning for the additions and renovations to elementary schools that we're going through right now. This was not a change in our capital improvement plan. We always knew that we were going to have to do something to those elementary schools. This was just a change in the timing. He developed accountability measures for all the teachers, staff, and administration, and an organizational chart for supervisors and staff to follow. And that includes board members, because the board members are supposed to go to, by our policy, I might add, are supposed to go to the chairman or their superintendent with anything that, any issues that come up, problems that come up, or whatever. You're supposed to take them to the superintendent, and he's supposed to investigate those things and look into those things. We're not supposed to be interrogating teachers, staff, or anything else. Again, that's according to our policy and his contract. He contracted to have instructional review of the math, science, English, and social studies for middle schools and high schools, March 28 through 31, 2011, and he had started to put effective change in instruction for our students. And that's how this project-based learning, or deeper learning, which is deeper learning, all evolved. The accountability measure and making sure that all certifications through DOE are correct. There's been movement around for the teachers because of this, and Ms. Alga has explained that to us and explained that here as why people are being moved around. DOE wants to have certified teachers in positions teaching those subjects. And if you're not certified, your name pops up, then you have to be moved. The board instructed Dr. Thornton to develop and fix the salary scale for our teachers, administration, and staff. He fought for the salary scale adjustments, and he got them approved by the Board of Supervisors. He worked to get salary scale adjustments for administrators. He continues to work for staff adjustments. The board instructed Dr. Thornton to develop a way that parents could be informed about the school system and their children's progress. The development of the MCPS website with resources and information, he brought that here. He updated the site. The site was so that teachers were supposed to be using this, and I could go on there and look. Unfortunately, not everybody was using it, because I know the teachers that were and the ones that weren't from my children being there. The website is there. It's continually upgraded. All of our meetings are online. Everything that goes on here is online for you to review. It's up to the public to look at that and to find the information. It's there. We're not trying to hide anything. The board has instructed Dr. Thornton to work towards a consolidated high school. One of the reasons that he was hired was based on his knowledge and the experience of building high schools. I want to say that I trusted Dr. Thornton at that time as the man that could make this happen when we hired him. I trusted Dr. Thornton that he was the man that could make this happen and we could build the schools when we extended his contract. And I trust that he's still the person that we need in place to continue moving forward with the best education that we can give to our children and for our facilities. His response to that was that he started the process, he started working and talking to the Board of Supervisors and to hire a firm to investigate the property to see which one would be most cost effective. I don't know because I wasn't on the property committee, but apparently there were 3 properties that people have looked at. One property may be more expensive than the other as far as cost-wise when you purchase it, but when you look at it, if you have to grade it, you have to bring all of the utilities, whatever you have to do, the cheaper property may end up costing more. I'm not an expert there, and so I feel like we have to have somebody to help us to get those properties and find out which is going to be the best one. The firm will also hold public input sessions to find out what the taxpayers want. This has been my biggest gripe for the entire time that I've been on this board, is that the public never had an opportunity to say what they wanted in a facility. And I want for us to have that opportunity. And you need professionals to go in and facilitate those meetings to make sure that they're there. I was told that years ago that they did all that. Well, they may have, but guess what? They didn't do it, and my children are 15 and started high school today, and those meetings have not taken place since they've been in the school system. My children would like to graduate from a new facility. I would like to see that happen. However, the people that this is going to affect, the children that are coming up that this is going to affect, those parents have not had an opportunity to say anything. So this firm that we want to hire could help us do that. He's also worked to develop an education committee with talking with the members of the Board of Supervisors, and that was formed tonight, so that's a good thing. And one of the other issues, too, is that the board instructed Dr. Thornton to help develop a strategy to continue to allow the out-of-county students to come into the county schools, because the Board of Supervisors has questioned it, and they were questioning the cost of what the county was having to pay for those students. Dr. Thornton's response and his recommendation to us was to make the board make the tuition for those county students to cover what the county cost would be. And that's what we went with, so that those out-of-county students had the privilege of being able to come to Mecklenburg County Public Schools. This list goes on and on, but I'm going to stop here. Dr. Thornton was hired as the CEO of this school system, and that's stated in his contract. He is to manage the day-to-day operations of this. We as board members do not. And if we do in any way, or if we're in the schools interrogating the teachers, if we're in there investigating what's going on, if we're in there telling principals who to hire or who to put in what positions, not only are we violating his contract, we're also violating our policy, which is policy 1-1.6, School Board Procedures and Standards, and it's number 7 on there. So you can read it. It blows my mind when I read all of this stuff, when I have put all of this stuff down, and I read all of this stuff on the internet that's out there, and all the negativity that breeds negativity. And I think it's time that this board has to stop it. We have got to stop looking at the negative. We've got to stop looking at the positive. We've got to support this superintendent. We've got to support this staff, this team, these teachers, and these children. And I challenge this board to do that, to stop looking for the negative. Like I said, I know what the contract says because I've read it. And so that's all I have.
Ms. Evans.
I think that's the reason Mr. Starvin asked for the contract. He hadn't read it. You're probably the only one on the school board that read it. But I, too, challenge this board to do their job as they were elected to do it. And that job is, if he asks to see a contract, he has the right to see that contract because he's hired by the public. He's voted in by the public. This board sat here, and we spend $700,000 a year on service solutions, and not anybody on this board read the contract except me. Synergenics, nobody read the contract except me, and I brought it in here and asked you, and y'all said I didn't read it. So that's called malfeasance when you vote for something that's $750,000 of taxpayer dollars and you don't even look at it. We sat here tonight, not anybody asked about the OCR requirements. We're going to spend $1.6 million to fix that. And we're the only school district, we're the only schools in this whole district that's been challenged by the OCR. My question is, are we the only ones that don't have front doors that open in and open out? I don't understand that. But we sit here and we'll vote to, well, yeah, let's do that. Let's go ask a board of supervisors for that money. You know, every time you ask a board of supervisors, you're taxing the people, and the more we tax the people for these things, the further backward they go. We've got to be careful. If we want a new school, then that's where we should point ourselves towards a new school. But we've got to stop some of these, I don't know if the word's idiotic or not. That's not the word I'm looking for. Anyway, we're spending money daily that we could be using for, I think, better, and I'm just one school board member. Now, we'll go to something else. In 2004, I ran for this school board, and I ran on accountability, if you'll remember, because you challenged that many times in public. But I want to ask for some accountability tonight. I want somebody to be accountable for the 300 desks that are laying in the parking lot at the bus shop that we pay probably $100 a desk for, and if you multiply that times 300, I want to know why they're there, and I want to know who's responsible for putting them there, and whoever it is, I want them to be accountable to this board and to the public of Mecklenburg County. And I'm saying that tonight, so you can put that on your list too, because that's one thing that's going to happen before this is over with. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Well, I want to say it's another day in Mecklenburg County Public Schools, and the best is yet to come. And we're going to have a great year. And I'm proud of all our teachers, all our students and principals. And we're going to work hard this year to have a great year. And next year, 2014, when we ask the question, how are our children, we'll be able to say they are doing well.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to make a comment about the scores, because I noticed a lot of people shaking their heads about the scores. The only scores over the last 2 years associated, or last year actually, associated with PBL were the 6th grade scores. Half of our students in 6th grade. Every other SOL score for the last 2 years, which are crashing and burning across the state and here in Mecklenburg, are in traditional classrooms where we have not changed our methodology. We now have 6 schools under improvement plans out of 8 doing traditional methods. So we can go real slow and continue to fail those students, but we could look to more aggressive ways in PBL and deeper learning. And as far as the other school systems, Chesterfield County, which has a much better clientele and socioeconomic status than we do, came to our seminar that Mecklenburg County put on and our instructional team put on to learn what we're doing in Mecklenburg County. We have a challenging population, and we do very well with it. What we haven't done is change away from the old SOLs, because change is hard. So we can sit back and do nothing and hope for the best. I've seen the scores decline for 3 years, hoping for the best, as people keep saying I'm some kind of lunatic. What's he talking about? We don't have issues. We were fine before he came. The only thing that I put in instructionally, since we've been here through researching and seeing where we are after doing that report and finding out how we're teaching, is PBL. And there's some of the highest scores last year.
At this time, can we receive a motion to adjourn? All in favor?